Welcome to this webinar hosted by Digital Beanie. The topic for today's webinar is what makes a great website and marketing automation. Your presenter today is David Delaney. David is a digital marketing specialist with a keen focus on content in all its forms, in delivering key messages and actionable responses from customers. Originally from Waterford, Ireland, he has worked predominantly in creative industries, specializing in social and content strategies for SMEs. He holds a Bachelor of Business Studies combined with a Master's in Interactive Media from the University of Limerick. Away from his laptop, David is a lifelong musician, performing violin and flute for weddings, corporates, and other events, either as a solo artist or with various bands. As head of digital marketing for Business Unite and content creator for Digitally Ready, David works together with business leaders to align traditional and digital marketing strategies, ensuring that real stories and engaging are delivered to the right customer while nurturing current customers with lifetime brand value. Additional information with regards to the various topics may be posted in the chat box to the right of the video and presentation. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask your questions and engage during the presentation by making use of the chat box to the right of the video presentation. Both the webinar recording and presentation will be made available at the end of the webinar.
Good day, welcome to this week's webinar for the SAAA Accounting Academy. My name is David Delaney. I work with a company called Business Unite, and we're developing a series called Digitally Ready, which looks at digital marketing, how it's changing and evolving, and how we can prepare your business to make the most of different digital marketing platforms, really to drive customers and drive purchases on your platforms. So this week's webinar, we're going to be looking at two topics. The first topic is how to make your website great, and the second section for today's will be focusing on marketing automation, something you may not have heard of, but a very serious and powerful marketing tool which you can apply to your accounting practice. So starting with our first topic, what makes a great website? Well, there's many different ideas of what makes a great website, what people think, what you can apply, and how you can develop it over time. We're going to be specifically looking at 5 different areas. And whether you have your own website at the moment, or you're reevaluating your current website to see how you can make it more powerful, I think this section on website is applicable to anybody listening to this webinar today. As an overview to this particular webinar, we're going to look at 5 areas. Firstly, where to begin. Secondly, of course, there's costs. What costs must you consider when developing and setting up your website? Then the third section, the real nitty-gritty, is how do you make it great? And we're going to focus on 5 areas. And lastly, obviously, the website carries on. How do you maintain it to the best of its potential? I've developed a small roadmap in setting up your website. The first area looks at the setup, the initial setup of your website, getting your content together and registering your domain and hosting the website. The second section is where your content comes in, which is crucial. And that's populating the website in a user-friendly manner with relevant content that, pinpoints the questions that potential clients have for you, and then you answer it in the best way possible. The third section is optimizing your website. And that's where a bit of SEO will come in, and we'll be discussing this in a future webinar also. The fourth section, how to sell your website. And of course, as we mentioned at the overview, how do you improve your website over time to be effective? There's different steps to a great website. And we're going to focus on these 5 areas. Although there's many more, I think these 5 areas are pivotal to ensuring that you've got a great website set up that sells your services as an accountant practitioner. The first section is user experience. And that's ensuring that your website is designed for the user. So obviously as an accountant, you work in technically complex practices. You've got specific jargon that in general, your potential client might not understand. They trust that you are as an expert, but you still have to sell on your website your service, your solutions, and speaking to them and providing that solution to them. And the second section is content, hugely important. Giving the potential client relevant information that they want to hear. They're looking for an accountant, they're looking for an auditor. You got to speak their language as well. So you might be like dumbing down a little bit, but speaking to them in a way that they understand, they trust you, and they're willing to do business with you. The third section, which has become increasingly important, is having a mobile responsive website. Now think if you open a website on your phone and it displays in the same as a desktop, you're not going to be zooming in to find information. You're going to give up and bounce off that website. So websites are becoming increasingly mobile responsive. So you have one design for your desktop, one design for your mobile, and another one for your tablet. So mobile responsiveness not only is crucial in the user interface, it's also become a factor for Google, that they will penalize you for not having a mobile responsive website. So if you do have an existing website, it's worth just checking, do a mobile responsive test to see how mobile responsive is your website. And if it's not up to scratch, we highly recommend make a few changes with your web developer. The fourth part is security. Obviously, again, it's becoming a more increasingly important area. You want to make sure that the users feel comfortable on your site. Often as an accountant, you'll be obtaining personal information, you're going to be obtaining financial records, and it's hugely important to the customer and the client that they know that the information is secure, that you've got secure servers, that everything is encrypted, and there's no threat that someone can illegally obtain information from your website. You want to thwart hackers. Ransomware has become a huge thing, even more so than physical kidnappings and carjackings. I think ransomware and taking information off the internet, people's records, has become the biggest threat and the biggest fear of your clients trusting you to give them information to your website. And the final section that ties in with optimizing is going to be SEO, which is basically optimizing your site to appear in Google, Bing, and more commonly Amazon, so that you appear in the organic search results. And that's getting you fresh organic leads that you don't have to pay per click. And if you want to have a competitive advantage, you need to look at optimizing your web pages with specific keywords that a potential client might be inserting into Google to find your website at the top of Google rankings. Those are our 5 steps. The question, where do you begin? Or where should you reevaluate your current website? The first one is obviously to choose a domain. Find the perfect website name for your business. For example, it can be www.accountants.co.za. More than likely not available. But putting your name also builds trust and credibility. The second section is finding a hosting company. And a hosting company is a company that will host your website and the pages and the files on their servers. There's a few examples. I personally use domains.coza for my website, but also there's GoDaddy, international company, and locally you've also got AfriHost. So there's a few options, different pricing options, depending how big your website is, how many pages you're going to have. That will also affect your hosting costs. And it's generally a monthly cost, it's not too much. Thirdly, and the most important part, is gathering your content. And you want to make sure that whether it comes from yourself or comes from your partners, you want to gather your solutions, you want to gather your information and display that nice and easily across your website with lots of call to action buttons that instruct the user to take the next course of action. Fourthly, and this is in the developing and design stages, is to find a great web designer and developer. That's getting the right expert to develop and assemble your site. It's not just putting the text on, it's also having sliders, it's maybe integrating a few plugins, whether you have invoice generator or accountancy software that you want to plug into your site. It really helps to have a great website designer and developer. And generally in the web developer and designer area, I guess the more the more that you pay, the better solutions and the better expertise you're going to get. Finally, don't just throw it on live, test it. Get some friends to go through it, do a user experience test, and tailor that to your business objectives. Test it first, look for some feedback from clients, from maybe some partners, and then when you're ready to launch it, go live and then market it. Of course, with designing a great website, there's all initial and ongoing costs involved. The initial costs of designing a great website, firstly, the web development and design. Getting that developer to spend obviously the labor and time to develop a great website. The second area you need to look at as well with your website in the initial stage is integrating any different plugins and gateways. So for example, you might have a Shopify, you might have a commerce gateway for a website, whether it be for accountancy or if you're selling, for example, you're selling training products or you're selling accountancy software. So there's different plugins that you may need to license on a monthly basis. And it's also worth factoring into your website costs. The ongoing costs of a great website, firstly, monthly hosting. Second, is possibly consider having a website maintenance plan with your web designer, just to make sure if there's any problems, any bugs, that you've got a web designer with a couple of hours that can fix any problems that might go on. And then thirdly, in the ongoing section is where SEO, search engine optimization. It's building your ongoing SEO to make sure that people come to your website. So there's not really a point in spending a fortune on a great website when the idea is you need to bring traffic to your website. And SEO will play a large role in that, which we'll be discussing in future webinars. The 5 principles of the great website, would you believe? The first one we mentioned, user experience. And that's having a clear and simple design that people can easily navigate around your website, find the information that they need, and a call to action button that instructs them to take the next course of action, whether it to be learn more, whether it is to submit an inquiry, to contact you. Potential and existing clients want to have clear navigation around your website to know what they want to do. You want to have a website that promotes conversions and retentions. So there's a filter, not just to hard sell your services straight away. You want to guide the client through your website. You want to build trust and credibility and guide them down to maybe the contact or the services pages where you offer your services. The second section, most importantly, is content. You need to speak to your customer persona. And while as accountants, you're quite technical, we're used to working on spreadsheets, we have our own different terminology, whereas people in the medical profession will have their own terminology and abbreviations. So you kind of got to meet the client halfway. You obviously want to come across as a thought leader and an expert, and you want to give a competitive advantage over other accountants, but you want to make sure that the client understands that they stick around on your website and are compelled to take further action. And also, while you're at it, give them an educated message. Explain the importance of having a great accountant and sell your service as being the ideal solution to their problem. And along with just text and banners, use professional and relevant videos. Make sure you invest some money in getting some nice videos done. Get them compressed so they don't lag your page speed. And if you want to bring up a lot of information, instead of large text blocks, use insights and infographics to explain what you do and maybe the cycle of what you do a bit more. The third section, mobile responsiveness. And the idea and the definition is that the layout of the web page adjusts to the user's device size. Now, most websites look beautiful across a desktop page or your laptop when you've got a huge space, but on a mobile phone, everything needs to condense a bit more. And you don't want to, obviously, you don't want to overload people with massive amounts of text information. And that's why we encourage, and why Google itself even encourages you to create a condensed website that suits the mobile interface, it suits whether you're looking at an iPhone, a Huawei, a Samsung, or a simple LG phone, that you've got a website that best displays what you want to sell. And just to give you some stats, from 2018, it says that 71% of all web traffic in South Africa is viewed on mobile devices. That's almost 3 in every 4 people are going to come across your solution, your website, in the first impression, most likely in a mobile device. And again, bringing back to the first point, if your mobile site displays like a desktop page where they have to zoom in, they're just not going to bother. They're going to jump off your site in about 3 seconds. So the whole result of being mobile responsiveness is you have an improved user experience, that the potential client looking for your accountancy service is impressed by your site, can find the information that they want, and are encouraged to make contact with you. And what we believe is having a mobile responsive website. It's not just another option, it's an absolute requirement. The fourth principle of a great website is web security. And you must ensure, especially dealing with people's sensitive personal and financial data, you need to make sure that you secure that data and prevent any exploitation of that data from hackers. How do you do that? The first section is to make sure that you upgrade to a HTTPS. That's a secure website. It's quite simple. It's an add-on to your hosting on a monthly basis. It doesn't cost a lot, but it's HTTPS. Along with the mobile responsiveness, Google will favor a HTTPS site over just a normal HTTP site. The second section, which you can work on your web designer, is to encrypt any login pages. Any registered login pages requires extra encryption to make sure that no robots or hackers can break through that initial firewall. And in addition to that is updating any payment gateways. Secure apps and plugins, not just a once-off. Check for any updates that are required. And when you're asked to update any plugins, make sure you update them right away. So in essence, constantly update your security features on your website to evolve with any new vulnerabilities, any new viruses or any malware that's been out there or may even appear. Make sure that your website is hacker-proof. And the final element of a great website, we believe, is SEO, search engine optimization. And that's optimizing your content and your web pages to appear near at or at the top of Google search. So for example, when somebody types in a user phrase, they're looking for a new accountant or financial services, and they may type accountancy firm in Johannesburg, accountancy firm in the Western Cape. You'd prefer to appear at the top or near the top of that search as possible. And how you look at that? Firstly, you look at keyword research, and you got to look not from where you're sitting, but from where say the average Joe, when he's looking for an accountant, what does he type into Google search? And Google keyword research, various other tools can give you those insights to tell you what are people typing most often. And you can start optimizing your web pages. So you optimize your titles, your descriptions, tags, assigning a focused keyword, and obviously mobile responsive as well. So it's an initial and an ongoing process, SEO. It's growing massively, and it's a hugely important, I think, if you're looking for organic and fresh leads, that your site is SEO ready as well. With on-page SEO, again, as I mentioned, titles and tags, making sure you assign focused keywords to your pages. With off-page SEO, there's different elements, and most commonly is blog writing. In your case, maybe you've written articles, you've submitted papers for conventions and congresses and seminars. Is to get those articles online and tying back to your website. There's various directories, there's many blogging pages that you can upload your content on with a web address that comes back. And links, so link building is also a big one. Again, your link building always works like a reference where another website will reference your website. And Google sees that as a ranking factor in getting you there to the top of the Google search. There's local listings and directories, and also bookmarking as well. So quite a lot involved in SEO, which we'll explain in a future seminar. Now I'd like you, based on the information, to develop a bit of a web checklist for if you have a website already. If you haven't, you've got a blank slate to start on. The first, look at the user experience. Look at it yourself, but also maybe get a partner to look at it, or maybe get a friend to look at it. And ask them for an honest opinion on how is the user experience of your website. The second is content. Maybe you've got great content, maybe your content's outdated. Maybe you've got fresh content that you've just published or produced that you want to get it on. So do an audit of your current content and look at maybe ways that you can update that content. And the third one is quite straightforward. Check if your site is mobile ready. Pretty much take out your mobile phone, type in your domain, and see how it looks. The fourth section, check for your web security. Again, increasingly important. Look for that HTTPS. If you haven't got it already, I highly recommend you immediately get an SSL certificate for your website. And your hosting company or your designer can do that very easily and simply. And the fifth section is your site SEO optimized? Google your service, say accountancy services, or find an accountant in. See where you appear in Google search. and it'll give you an idea of how optimized your site is. Then make notes of what you can do based on what we previously spoke about in SEO. How to make a website great. I hope you enjoyed what was discussed today. Maybe you've got some work to do, maybe you're well on your way, but I think having a great website is a huge part of being digitally ready and driving customers with intent. Thank you very much. Welcome to the second part of today's webinar based on the Digitally Ready with myself, David Delaney from Business Unite. For this section, we're going to talk about marketing automation, which you believe is your secret digital marketing weapon going forward. Now, normally you're probably relying on, say, word of mouth, a few Facebook posts, and client referrals. But if you're looking to get some more fresh leads, and I guess nurturing prospective leads and inquiries, marketing automation is a hugely growing area that very few people are using. And we believe marketing automation can really unlock a lot more business for you. They can maybe translate it to the old school marketing automation. There wasn't really automation, but you had your cold calling, maybe you were sending your newsletters. But now with marketing the digital area, there's different ways you can now nurture your leads, bring them down the marketing and sales funnel, and convert them into ongoing customers. So with marketing the digital era and looking at as an accountant, what are your challenges going forward? Firstly, there might not be enough leads in your sales funnel. You obviously offer a very specific service, wouldn't have a huge search volume, but at least when someone's looking for you, say, example, in organic search, then they require your service. Secondly, there's not an easy way to qualify leads, whether they're soft leads or hard leads. It's hard to know from initial communication. And thirdly, previously, there's a hard way to effectively nurture leads. And what I explain is you don't want to go straight in with a newsletter or say an email with a direct hard sell. You're going to throw off the majority customers. They want to be nurtured, they want to be eased into, and they want to build trust. And they want you to be a reputable service provider before they're comfortable with you to join and acquire your services. Fourthly, with the marketing and a sales team, there's different channels and departments involved. And often in today's world, people want instant gratification. They want to be followed up when they submit an inquiry or a lead form. They want to be followed up right away. If you're doing that manually, you're not going to get to those leads as quick as you want to, and people have a very short attention span. There needs to be a way to automate this. Fifthly, often you can't see where the leaks are in your pipeline. So you've got various different funnels of your sale. It's hard to know exactly, if it's not digital, where are people dropping off. Maybe you're getting your potential clients so far, you're almost signing them up for services, but they're dropping off somewhere. And on the other side, you don't know which tactics are really working as well. Maybe which content, which message you're using is really working. And by split testing and marketing automation, we can really identify what is it that works best and how you can apply that then to your whole marketing automation process. Seventhly, many marketing tactics are ignored because they not personalize. So, a lot of people, even I'm sure you can relate, when you're getting a message from a robot or a Facebook bot, it doesn't feel personal. You don't feel like you're actually being spoken to. People want that personal touch. That's where in social media, the stories are coming through as well. And so even in your own marketing automation processes, there's many ways you can make it personal. So depending on what action a potential client takes in your automation funnel, the message changes. It becomes warmer. It becomes more personalized in your message. And that's why nurturing leads with relevant content is required. Also, the buying process has changed. No longer is it just the seller and the buyer. It's estimated about 5.4 people are now involved in the average business-to-business buying decision. So it's not just the owner. Generally not, so you will not find that the owner will go straight to your website. He might employ, or he might ask one of his team members to go and have a look, go and look at a different number of accountancy services and check them all out, see what works best, and then come back to him with a short list. As other people, that person might then speak to the finance department to look at what budget do we have for accountancy services on a monthly basis. Then it goes back to you. Then you've got to obviously speak to your people as well. So there's a number of different channels involved, not just straight buyer seller. Also, 75% of business to business now use social media to be more informed on suppliers. So people are out there looking at social media, they're reading articles, they're on LinkedIn, they're checking out Facebook. They're not going straight to your website. They want to build up trust and credibility. So they're going through different channels to find out more before they buy it. So the whole buying process has changed. And also, going back to the old traditional marketing, 90% of decision makers, the people who are going to be signing on the dotted line with you, they say they will never respond to cold outreach. And that's why you're going to get if you get those cold calls, if that's going to be your marketing process, it looks like you're going to have a very difficult time selling. We also believe the sales and marketing roles have changed drastically. Before it was just marketing. Your marketing department marketed your services and your sales team sold the products. It's obviously developed using very much the AIDA principle, AIDA. And that's even developed further into a 5-stage, being awareness. That's your largest addressable qualified audience who may have any interest in money. Then you're funneling it down to your interest audience. That's people who need it, who are more keen to hear more about your services. And as you move slowly down and you work the percentages down, you're getting people in the consideration phase. They've heard quite a bit. They're willing to hear a bit more, and you guide them through with marketing automation. Then you're getting the real nitty gritty, the intent, and people evaluating, sizing up your quotes and your monthly retainers until you get to the gold at the bottom, which is the people ready to purchase. So the marketing and sales process really has expanded from what it used to be. Now it's a very much a funnel based on see, think, act, and also there's your care audience, which we'll explain further. So what we believe is the ultimate lead machine. It's no longer people on phone calls ringing a list on a newsletter or a database. It's a technology-driven ecosystem for prospects and clients. Firstly, that it educates, inspires, and nurtures. So you as an accountancy expert, that you position yourself by giving that client trusted information, making them feel comfortable with you. Secondly, as I mentioned, being personalized. It doesn't seem like a mass email, that you're able, through marketing automation, to make that client feel that you're speaking directly to them. Thirdly, you want to guide your prospects through the sales process. Don't just throw an email out there and say, buy now, buy now. You want to guide them through. You want to offer them something. You want to incentivize what you're selling. Don't expect a straight ratio of sales from initial email. That's what marketing automation, it drives down the funnel. It builds trust and credibility. It makes offers. It makes the client feel warm and willing to do business with you. What's more importantly as well is marketing automation is it automatically delivers the right message at the right time. Now, obviously you can't, if you're looking at a marketing automation system that has hundreds, maybe literally thousands of people in that funnel, you're not going to be sitting in your laptop or your phone every minute to check and manually do this. So automation, the automation of marketing automation, what it does is allows when someone hits a certain button or makes a certain reply, it starts a sequence of another message. So, and what's important is that the client has control. The client can maybe unsubscribe, but the client can request further information. And by setting up your automation from the onset, you can guide that customer with more information, with offers, with incentives. And when you build trust and credibility, then you can, at the end, offer them the service that you're selling. Marketing automation, it identifies sales-ready prospects. So as I say, when you've moved from the awareness and the consideration right down to the intent and purchase stage, you can narrow down your funnel and speak differently and maybe speak more personalized as you know the person is keener and keener on your services. And also, marketing automation, it tracks and provides a return on investment on every marketing tactic. So if you're investing your time and resources on a certain marketing campaign, you can see at the end that this person entered your funnel and came down and purchased. And then maybe calculate the revenue gained versus the cost of that campaign. You can get a very credible return on investment in your marketing automation campaigns. So what is the ideal solution? It's something that captures business leads, but it's something that also nurtures leads with different messages, and it turns them into sales. But why don't you just stop there? You, as an accountant, you have an ongoing relationship. You're a trusted partner to your clients, both new and current. So you want to communicate with them across a lifelong or a lifetime value. And that's where marketing automation, it automates that for you. You set it up from the onset, and depending on how long in the journey, at what stage of the journey, whether it's people have contracts up for renewals or important spreadsheets, that can all be automated. You don't have to be sitting in your laptop and doing this 24/7. Automation will automate it for you at the right time to the right person. So we believe marketing automation is your secret weapon and very much worth your time in investing in. It allows you to create more leads, you're taking fresh inquiries, and you're guiding them through the sales funnel. You can also increase the number of qualified leads because you can determine which of those total number of leads, you can see which ones are going further down and getting more information from you. You can see which leads are dropping off as well. So it allows you to focus your message and your service on those qualified leads that are communicating with you. And eventually, that's what we all want. We want to drive more sales. We want to create new clients. And also, it balances marketing and sales resources. It means you can very much combine both in one marketing automation strategy. And also, with marketing automation, why not stop at just offering a simple service? You can upsell. Maybe you've got webinars you're doing. Maybe you've got invoice generator software. If you've got accounting software, special offers, or if you've got ideal rates, there's no reason why you can take that in the audience and upsell and cross-sell other products and services. And how you build a campaign. Firstly, you work with your lists and leads. They can come from your website. Maybe it's contact form submissions, newsletters. Maybe it's names that you picked up at a seminar, or congress, or a networking event. So combine them all together and you know that you've got a qualified list. And then secondly, some people might be only interested in, say, your expert information. Others maybe are keen on your services. So tag them accordingly because you're going to send them different messages with different intent. Then you create forms. Simple contact form, for example, your name, your email, your phone, and what is it that they require. So you're going to find the nitty-gritty. And then from those forms, when submitted, you bring them to a landing page with important information that you want to offer to them. Now, from the onset, you build sequences. So the first sequence, obviously, is your initial introductory message to clients. A second sequence might be when they submit a form. You might thank them for it. A follow-on sequence you can do, and you can determine what time and how often you want to email and message these people, or an SMS or a video. Perhaps in a few days' time, you want to offer them an article that you recently wrote. And then maybe a few days later, invite them to a webinar. You're building trust, you're building warmth. It's not a hard sell or a cold call. The sequences allow you to offer more information to your customer, to make them feel warmer with you in the build-up to selling your services. And it can go all the way, as I say, from an introductory message, offering maybe offers, maybe an early bird discount. There's many different ways you can tailor your message. And automation will make sure that when people ask for the message, that they get it. That you don't blanket send the same message to everybody. The sequencing will allow people to drop into a more concentrated funnel. And you focus on the people that are staying with you, that want to know more from you. And you're automated all the way through. And then at the end, or close to where you want to introduce your pricing structures, then you offer that message. And that's where to start. So what next in terms of marketing automation? Define your target market, who you want to appeal to. Whether it's people who require accountancy services, maybe they require something bookkeeping, or they're looking for software. To find that market, segment them, as I say, tag them, and then look at what your campaign outcome needs to be. Secondly, don't just throw it out there. Review everything you're going to say. Maybe get a colleague or a partner also to review the content that you're going to be speaking to them. Look at the material and look at the different marketing channels. So it's not just an emailer. You can also maybe send an SMS with their consent. You can also drop them maybe, for example, a LinkedIn, an in-message. A lot of people might not be comfortable with the LinkedIn in-message from the start, but once they got to know you and they've worked through your sequences, when they've got the in-message, you've already built up the trust. They're maybe going to read it and take a further course of action. All for the reviewing stage. Then build your first campaign. Probably seems like a daunting mammoth task. But once you storyboard it out, I say define your target market, what you're selling and how you want to sell it. Set up a blueprint to create your own funnel and create how you're going to get that message across. And finally, assess it. Keep your eye on it. Everything's automated, so you'll see the messages coming back. You can look at your percentages of people who've read messages, people who've clicked on the messages, people who've deleted the messages. There's a lot of data and insights available in marketing automation to see how effective that marketing automation has become. So assess the results and optimize your campaigns as you go along. This is marketing automation. It's quite a new but a hugely growing area of digital marketing, and I hope it interests you. If you'd like to find out more, at Business Unite, we'd be very keen to speak to you at how you can make marketing automation work. I'm David Delaney from Business Unite. It's been a pleasure to speak to you today on becoming digitally ready for your accounting practice. Have a great day. Thank you.
If you have any other questions, we will now give some time for you to ask them. You can make use of the chat box to the right of the video presentation. Questions not answered now will be recorded, collated, and answered in due course, and you will receive an email with the answers to your questions not answered in the presentation. Thank you for your participation in this webinar, and we hope to see you in the next one.